From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Morning Line with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. Nick Barris here with you on a Thursday. I want you to join in the conversation if you want this morning, as we'll open up the phone lines as we always do. We're going to talk about Nashville's Big Bash. All right, what's that all about? It's almost New Year's, and News Channel 5 obviously does a big thing covering it, and we were just talking about what I'm going to be doing that night, and you'll have to be watching as well. But we're not just going to talk about that alone. I mean, I'm looking at some of the details of what's happening New Year's Eve here, and it's certainly one of the biggest celebrations in the country, and we expect, thousands and thousands of people downtown. But kind of where we are today from where we were last year to maybe where we go beyond this year and how things have worked out. The Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation, very much a part of that. Well, Deana Ivey's with us this morning. She works right there with Butch. And she's here to talk to me about, is it going to be fun? Will the Big Bash be fun this year, Deana?
Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be super fun?
It's going to be
Do you think
huge.
there'll be any arrests that night?
No.
No, of course not. No arrests? You don't think so?
Actually, since we've been at Bicentennial Mall, we haven't had any. It's interesting.
And okay. And you know what really, and I guess that many people in one place, it's going to be a big party. They can stay. The beauty is now, things have really changed since Uber. Right? Because whatever party you go out for, instead of having to drink and drive home like some people would do, you just call an Uber or stay downtown.
Right. Or the Safe Drive program.
Do you think a lot of people, and I don't know, do you know, are the hotels downtown already booked up and everything?
Yeah, they're pretty full.
They're full.
They're pretty full.
And people coming, not just, it could be someone like me who lives in Wilson County choosing to, not wanting to drive home that night, stay, but are there people coming from around the country for this?
They are. They are coming from around the country. Normally, they'd also come from out of the country. This year, not so much. But yeah, they come from everywhere.
How many people do you think we'll have this year?
Probably right around 200,000. Maybe more. That's what we had in 2019.
Right.
And the phone has been ringing off the hook since we made the announcement of the talent, so it could be more.
That's really what it's about in terms of drawing people. This is Nashville, such a neat place, but the talent and the performances and all that are the big draw.
And it's free.
Right. All right, so we'll get into some of the basics of it in a moment. Gosh, there's a lot. It's going to be fun, isn't it?
It's a lot.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to be up in Sky 5. Do you want to come up with me?
I would love to.
Yeah, but you're going to be on the ground doing stuff,
busy.
busy.
On the stage.
You'll be on this. That's even better. You're going to be on the stage?
Yeah, but it's a lot of work. I'd like to be in the helicopter riding around.
Look, the helicopter's a lot of work, especially when there's a tailwind. What if I get a little nauseous during it? I don't want to do that. But we're just going to be circling the city and showing. It'll be
for
pretty neat.
5.5 hours.
Is that okay? How long is it? It goes from what to what?
It goes from 7 until 12:30, but there's a 30-minute break on TV anyway, not live, but on TV for the news.
Okay, and that's it. But other than that, nonstop.
Yeah, nonstop.
And it starts, how is it different from last year?
Well, last year we were with you guys in the studio, not here, but another studio, just doing our little thing with Amy. And
I know.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. We had to.
But we understood why that was.
But, yeah.
So the big change, and things have started, obviously opened up considerably. What kind of precautions do you have to address? I guess I was going over some of that for getting into some of the live shows this year.
So you have to have proof of a negative test 72 hours before, at least 72 hours before. It can be 24 hours.
What would that proof be? Just
you get a form, you get a QR code, so you have that, or you can volunteer your proof of vaccination.
All right, either one of those. All individuals 11 years of age and older are required for this event, and other than that, it should be A-okay. There's not a mask mandate. It's outside. If you want to wear a mask, you can wear a mask.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I just see the crowd, and I haven't even looked. What do they say the weather's going to be like on Saturday?
We can't see that far ahead.
Are we looking ahead to
it's
see?
looking 50s.
I just remember some years. I remember seeing Keith Urban on stage a few years back where I thought he was an urban popsicle.
It was so cold.
So cold.
13 degrees.
Yeah.
His hands were like...
I know. And
but
he
played.
Did great.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is an unusual winter so far. It's going to be 70 degrees tomorrow.
It's been so warm.
But it'd be nice if the weather plays a role in this, obviously,
right? It plays
right?
a huge role. It's always stressful.
So what goes on right now? What are you doing now in preparation for this?
We started load-in this week. So if you go to Bicentennial Mall now, you'll see the floor is going in. We put in a floor, which is like 150,000 square feet of floor to protect the grass.
Right.
That's
Which,
why
by the way, people are wondering, News Channel 5 is the only station downtown, and the Bicentennial Mall is just right behind us, next to the Farmers Market and next to the Sound Stadium. So, yeah, that's where it's going to be, off of James Robertson Parkway.
Right. And then we'll start load-in stage, sound, lights, all that. We do that until the 22nd, and then we take a little break for Christmas, and then we come right back. So it's a long load-in.
Okay, it's a long process of this. And there's more than one stage, right?
No, there's just one stage at Bicentennial.
At Bicentennial, I meant
but
elsewhere.
Then we have another stage at Sky Deck at 5th and Broad, up on the rooftop.
Okay, that one, Lady A, Riley Green, Chris Jansen.
That's a great lineup.
Yeah, and then you've got Dierks Bentley, Zach Brown Band. That's going to be awesome. Sam Hunt, Darius Rucker. They're going to be performing at the main stage over here at Bicentennial Mall. And then it kind of plays out. Do you find that when people come down for this, and again, it's free, do they roam? Is that how it is? Or do you have to go kind of stake out a spot earlier in the day if you want to
it's so different than, like, if you look at Times Square, you have to get to your spot, you stay in your spot, you don't even leave to go to the restroom. But with our event, I think that's why it's so attractive. It's just like a big festival, and there's so much room down there. You can just roam around. You don't have to stay in a spot. You can, go to get concessions. You can go to the little fire pit we have. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. So it's really a great atmosphere. It's a good family atmosphere.
Yeah, the concessions, I was just wondering about, because you can walk and there's all these restaurants and food down on 2nd and Broad. Will there be food trucks and things like that all around?
Food trucks. There's a couple of different food truck parking lots, right on the sides of the park. Yeah. And then there's a big heated tent that's craft beer. I mean, there's all kinds of fun stuff.
Okay, and again, it's free. You're not getting a band or anything. You obviously have to pay for your food, but it's free, but you just roam. There's not like gates or anything. How do you, in this day and age, and maybe some you can share with me and some you can't, prepare security-wise for something like this? I mean, I was kidding you earlier about arrests. There will be arrests that night for any number of things, fights, brawls, drunken idiots doing stupid things. But in general, all of us remember and keep our fingers crossed we don't have a repeat of what happened last Christmas Day here in Nashville.
No kidding.
God forbid. And when you have that many people in one place coming back, how will Metro PD be involved? I think for something this big, Tennessee Homeland Security probably has some involvement. How do you handle that?
So much security. It's about, I'd say about four or 5 years ago, when things really started happening around the country, we doubled our security. So we have 500 something security officers plus Metro.
Okay.
So Metro does all the outskirts around the park. Homeland Security does, they're paying attention to everything. We have people up on top of the rooftops. And then we have all of our security in-house or in the park. And one thing we did just recently, we added even more security after the whole Travis Scott thing, because that's another element you don't even think about.
Well, I think Butch, we even talked to him at some point, and he said, we see these things, and we're going to get back and address them.
Right.
So talk a bit about that.
Every time something happens, we go back and go, okay, how can we prevent this from happening? Because oftentimes it's things you have never even thought about. Like Las Vegas, when that happened, it was terrible. It's just terrible. But this, so we have an officer we've added to the stage, Metro PD, to be on the stage, to be paying attention to the crowd. And then we've put security on top of the towers that aren't, like we already had security there, but this security, these officers will be paying attention just to the crowd, just to the, if there's, and we don't have that kind of talent that's going to cause that.
No, I just, and I know the Scott thing is being litigated now and how that plays out. But I mean, who will have the authority in a case like this to say it's getting out of control? Shut it off right now.
That's interesting you said that, because we just had that conversation yesterday, because we'll have like a kill switch on stage that will turn all the lights on. And we'll stop the music.
And stop the music. And that obviously is the very last case scenario. But I think that's incredibly prudent. So who has the power to do that? You.
Yeah.
Now, what if
Butch. If Butch is on stage, which oftentimes he's having to run around and do things. So we just talked about yesterday. It'll be either of us.
You will be there. You have
so
criteria.
So if I'm not there, he'll be there. If he's not there, I'll be there. I mean, one of us will be on stage to do that.
That's a lot of power. Look at that.
It's a lot of responsibility.
But obviously, you'll make that decision based on, and there's some question about what happened with the Scott concert. When if you hear from law enforcement saying, we're having a problem here, okay, you're going to say, and regardless of what the artist, and I'm sure our artists will be cooperative, but if they're not, too bad.
Yeah, and TV will be there. Yeah. The director will be there. The manager of the artist that's on stage will be there. So, unless it's just really, really bad, it has to happen right away, we'll have a conversation about it and discuss it.
I don't there's just no way. I don't anticipate that.
I don't either.
They didn't, when that happened.
But if you prepare, then it probably won't happen.
So exactly, you have a game plan. You just never know when something will come up. Sometimes you learn the hard way but then everyone else looks around. Listen, let's take a break, and when we come back, we can take a few phone calls if you have a question about that night. I want to talk more about that evening, and then maybe just in general, how the city's bounced back to some degree as we go. I mean, you see that firsthand, and it certainly seems to have done so. So we'll be back with Deana Ivey. She's really nice. She's sitting here. She's on her second cup of coffee, it looks like. We'll be right back with more right after this.